15 Filipino detainees and ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. 15 Filipino nationals are currently detained by ICE for alleged immigration violations, including overstaying visas and unauthorized employment. Most were apprehended during targeted operations in California and Texas, where ICE agents conducted checks on workplaces suspected of hiring undocumented workers. According to legal sources, the detainees are in varying stages of immigration proceedings. 5 have pending asylum claims due to fears of persecution if deported. 3 have overstayed their student or tourist visas, while the rest were flagged for working without proper documentation. ICE has confirmed that each detainee has been given access to legal counsel and the option to apply for relief from removal, including voluntary departure or adjustment of status, if eligible. Some detainees are pursuing humanitarian appeals, citing family ties or medical conditions. The Philippine Embassy has issued a statement affirming they are providing consular assistance, including legal support, and ensuring detainees' rights are protected under U.S. law. Hearings are scheduled over the next few weeks, and outcomes could range from deportation to temporary relief.
What is up, guys? It's your boy and the Matrix. And Asians are getting deported. Asians are getting deported in America. So at first, everybody thought it was just, the Mexicans, the Latinos, the Hispanics, right? But no, Trump is actually also going after the Asians. So no group will be left behind with the orange man. And look, man, I'm not trying to take sides with anybody. I'm not on the side of Trump. I'm not on the side of the Democrats. I'm on nobody's side. I'm on the side of God, because Democrats and Republicans, they're not going to do anything to improve this country. They're both equally just messed up. So anyways, let's go ahead and move on to our next video. And we got this lady crying.
I need your help. I got deported. I'm in Japan because they couldn't tell if I'm Hispanic or Asian. The Democrats are right. I'm not safe in Trump's America. I need help, please. Democrats, please help me.
You're not safe.
Yeah, so she said Japanama. So Japanama, I'm guessing that she was deported to Latin America. Japanama. Because it has the word Panama in it, so I'm thinking it's Panama, maybe like a little Japanese town in Panama. Could also be Sao Paulo in Brazil, where all the Japanese are. I think that's the name of the city. Right? Sao Paulo. Who knows? But man, she's in a country where she doesn't even belong. Wow. And we don't even know her actual ethnicity. Anyways.
I know I've been posting a lot about the deporting situation, and my mom, yesterday, she told me, hey son, you should probably not speak too much on this topic because it might cause a problem for us. That's the exact reason why this is a problem. Whenever there's a problem, Asian people go, oh, God, and nothing changes. That's probably the biggest thing that pisses me off about Asian people. You realize the current situation is literally a crime against humanity. Look, I think 70 to 80, 90% of us can agree that if they take illegal immigrants that commit crimes or whatever, look, that's whatever, okay? But they're stripping people of citizenships, and they're also taking people that are citizens. So what the hell does that mean for me? I was born here as a citizen. I can't imagine my mom or my sister, or think about it, like you're a close family member, imagine they just get taken for whatever good reason. And at this rate, they're not even finding a good reason. You know what they're doing? Oh, he's brown, let me take him. Oh, he's yellow, let me...
He's right. That's actually exactly what they're doing. Like, if they cannot tell what your ethnicity is, they'll just send you to wherever they think you belong in. Like that lady, like the Asian lady, which is... we just saw. This is actually happening. Look, I'm Latino, Caribbean, and yeah, I was not born in America, but I got my citizenship. I did everything legally. I have no criminal record. Are they gonna come after me? Is my citizenship at risk? It makes you think, makes you wonder.
You know who the happiest people are? White men living in Asian countries.
Someone that has taught English in an Asian country, this is so true. We had this new teacher, and he was a white male, and I could tell right off the bat he was just there to kind of date Asian women, because he was hitting on me.
He was there to date Asian women, trust me. He was there to date Asian women.
And then he ended up dating a co-teacher within a month of working there. All the Asian staff were in on it, and they were really encouraging this relationship. The foreign teachers kind of knew what was up, and a lot of us were cringing at the thought of them being together. And whenever they would take photos for advertisements, they would always put him front and center of the advertisement, and they would kind of hide the rest of the POCs in the back. We would not be photographed. Sure, he was an okay guy, but I feel like they liked him for the color of his skin rather than...
Yeah, you also have to remember that in Asia, especially Japan and Korea, there's this belief that like being light is much better. I mean, if you look at the Japanese geisha, the geishas they paint their skin white, right? They paint their skin white to do their their rituals, their performance. So there definitely is an idea that looking white is better. It's just like an Asian thing. Not everywhere, obviously, because in the Philippines, yeah, they have like white Filipinos, but they also have like dark skinned Filipinos. You go to Thailand, they have the dark skin Thai people. Okay, Indonesia, dark skinned Asians too. But there's this idea that light skin makes you more beautiful or better. I don't believe that. I personally don't believe that. Because I think, I've seen beautiful people in light skin, dark skin, so no. Anyways, let's continue.
In a new Supreme Court ruling, Donald Trump is able to deport Southeast Asian refugees to South Sudan. Back in May, 8 individuals
Why South Sudan if they're Southeast Asian?
were deported to South Sudan, and it included individuals from Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. This is extremely alarming because South Sudan is currently experiencing the aftermath of a civil war that happened not too long ago. This is really problematic as those that are being deported to South Sudan experienced war and violence back in Myanmar, Laos, and Vietnam. Many of the Southeast Asian immigrants that are here in the United States today is because of the war, violence, and displacement they experienced back in Southeast Asia. And in general, we should not be deporting immigrants to a third country that they have no significant ties to. Overall, this Supreme Court ruling does not just impact the Southeast Asian diaspora or community, but it impacts all of us and definitely redefines and reshapes the immigration system and how it shapes deportations to occur in the future. The Trump administration has been celebrating this ruling, especially because they've been negotiating with countries to accept deportees back. For now, the ways that you can take action is I'm going to put 2 petitions down in the comments below that address the Southeast Asian diaspora. One petition urges the governments in Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam to better support deportees that are being deported from the US. And I'm going to be putting another petition that supports the Southeast Asian Relief and Responsibility Policy Platform that pushes for long-term US accountability. Beyond that, again, I want to acknowledge that this ruling does not just impact the Southeast Asian community, but other immigrant communities of color. And so I will be monitoring this situation and the rulings and how you could best take action. So definitely follow.
Yeah, so, I mean, I feel bad for these immigrants, being an immigrant myself. Like one of the best things that you can do if you get deported is whatever money you made in America, right? Whatever money you made in America, take as much cash as you can, like a couple of $1,000s, take it back to your home country, wherever they're deporting you, exchange that money because it's going to be a lot. It's going to be like 5 times worth. Take that money and use it to make sure that you get all your needs met, like food, shelter, all those things. That's my advice. Because if you're getting deported, there's not much you can do. The government has power over you, but if you got some money with you, you have some protection or some security, right?
There are literally like other Asian Americans who are being deported and have been deported, right? People who even came here like seeking asylum in the 70s, 80s, right? And so I think specifically the influencers not speaking up or speaking up too late or feeling like they have to largely has to do with their capital, right? And class mobility and that sort of thing. And I think there are a lot of Asian Americans who are working on the ground in organizations, with organizations like in their community doing important, meaningful work. Even historically, like you have like Yuri Kochiyama, who's like Grace Lee Boggs, who's working with like tenants' rights, right? So there's historical examples of Asian Americans working in coalition with other ethnic groups, with other organizations throughout the US. And it's like influencers just, they don't care. Like, they simply don't care unless it affects their capital. So, and from some of the other comments, it's like, it's not just the Asian American community, right? Like, it's influencers from every community who are choosing to remain silent to protect their interests and their wealth and that sort of thing. It's just because I happen to see like the Asian American influencers from LA called out specifically.
Well, here's the thing. If Trump is saying even if you are a citizen, you still get deported, like, because I'm sure a lot of those influencers that are Asian, they became citizens and they're afraid of speaking out because even being a citizen doesn't save you from deportation anymore. You know, it's not like you just have a green card. Now, you're a citizen, but you're still at risk of getting deported. Of course they're going to stay quiet. They don't want to get deported. You know, they say one wrong thing and then, like, you know, the Trump administration, they'll go after them and be like, you're next. I wouldn't say shit either. Can't blame them.
So we just gonna act like my last video is not true, because I'm not lying. What Asian influencer has spoke out about it? Nobody. So don't get under my post trying to defend yourself as if I'm not telling the truth, because y'all know I'm not lying. Put the camera on your grandmas and your mamas and ask them. And I bet you they show their true colors just like y'all are in the comments. But being quiet is just as bad as the bad person. If you don't speak up, it's the same thing. It's the same exact thing if you do not speak up for what's wrong. So with that being said, I truly don't give a fuck how anybody feels about my post. Stand the fuck up and say something, or shut the fuck up.
Yeah, again, people are scared. Nobody wants to get deported. People are scared, man. You know, they might have things here that they don't have back in their home country, so they're not going to say anything.
Here's how you could prevent the deportation of Southeast Asian refugees. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who engaged and shared my previous video on Sammy. Sammy is a Laotian refugee and a community member from New York City who is at risk of deportation and detention. Currently, we are still waiting for updates regarding his case. However, if you want more rapid updates, I highly encourage you to follow Mekong NYC, who has been supporting him. Mekong NYC is an incredible Southeast Asian organization based in the Bronx, serving Southeast Asian immigrant and refugee community members. They do incredible work and even mobilize their youth. So I highly encourage y'all support them, follow them, and contribute in any way to allow them to continue their amazing work. Now, based off the comments on my previous video, there was a lot of conversations broadly talking about the deportation of Southeast Asian refugees, and currently Congress just passed a bill that would invest over $100 billion into ICE detention and deportations, and this will continue to separate our community members, our family members, especially within the Southeast Asian diaspora. And so I wanted to share a few policies and different ways you can take action now to prevent the deportation of Southeast Asian refugees and also support those that have already been deported. The first policy I wanted to talk about was the Southeast Asian Relief and Responsibility Platform. This platform is basically talking about how the United States can take accountability for the violence that is used against the Southeast Asian diaspora, especially back 50 years ago with the Vietnam War, the secret bombings of Laos and Cambodia, and playing a part in the Khmer Rouge. This platform has two different parts. The first part focuses a lot on the deportation and the separation of Southeast Asian families and community members. It would end ICE check-ins. It would allow those to work legally. It would reopen deportation cases, and it would even allow those that have been deported to come back. The second part of this national policy platform is to push for long-term accountability for the US government, which includes supporting the victims of Agent Orange, which is basically a chemical that the US military used that has severely impacted the health of those in Vietnam and veterans in the United States that served in the Vietnam War. And two, supporting victims of unexploded bombs. Basically, the US dropped over 270 million bombs in Southeast Asia. That includes Laos and Cambodia, in addition to Vietnam. And these bombs that been dropped 50 years ago are still living in villages and the communities of those that currently live in Southeast Asia and are living the devastating consequences of basically the US intervention in Southeast Asia. In addition to the...
All right. Okay. I had enough. Some things are just a little too depressing to talk about, such as this. And I mean, this administration has become intolerable, especially for those living here. You know, I can understand Americans that have left the country and they're looking at this, they're like, it doesn't affect me. But, man, oh man. Asians get into... I didn't see this. I'll be honest, I didn't see this coming. Because since I came to this country, it's always been like the Latin Americans, you know, the Mexicans, Latin Americans coming to America and they get deported. But I never imagined Asians getting deported because in my mind, I always thought, well, there can't be any illegal Asians because, you know, Mexico is attached to America. You know, it's just, you know, they're on the same, you know, the lands connect. But Asia's on the other side of the world. How can they, you know, migrate over here? Right? So they can't be illegal. But turns out there's some Asian illegals here in America. They didn't know that. Now I do. Anyways, that's gonna be it for this video. If you like this reaction, make sure to comment below. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification, support your local Asians, man. See what you can do, and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed.